Here's the doorway to my private office, but sometimes I get some visitors that I really don't need. So I headed down to my local Habitat for Humanity restore and I found the perfect shutter. I'm going to bring that home and I'm going to set it on some sawhorses. Now I've got a hinge on one side, hinge on the middle, and I'm going to cut just outside that middle hinge. Then I'm going to take my skill saw, set it at the deepest blade that I can, and I'm going to start cutting very slowly, straight across. I'm going to adjust the sawhorse when I get towards the end, hold it down, and then cut. Now, it doesn't go all the way through in some areas, so I'm going to grab my Sawzall, and I'm going to cut the rest of it off. Once I get that done, I'm going to open it up, but I still got some hinges that I got to take off that attach to the house. I don't need those anymore. So I'm going to remove those, and then I got to clean it off. It's been sitting there for a long time at the storage area, and I got to get it all clean, get all that dust, because we're going to paint it next. Painting shutters is very tricky, so I'm going to use some spray paint. This is actually a primer and paint in one. That's what you want. It's going to cover up any blemishes or stains and get it covered. Now, many times I've talked about when you're spraying, go with a light coat because it's nicer to do that than getting any runs and getting too thick of a coat on the first time. So once I do that, I'm going to set it up and finish it off with this second coat. Now it's time to put some nice good hinges on there. I'm going to mark one, pre-drill because I don't want to split the wood, put the hinge on and put the first screw in. Once I do that, then I can pre-drill the second and the third hole. Once I do that, put the screws in, and I can also move on down and put the last one on the bottom. 2 hinges will work. I also want to put a handle on there, so I'm going to drill a hole just big enough for the screw to get through. Go easy on this, make sure you get the hole all cleaned up, and then I will stick the screw through and put a handle on. You can go with any decor that you want or any style. Once I get that done, it's time to bring it in, set it in place. But before I can screw it in, I want it off the ground, and then I'm going to put some paint sticks underneath. Those are going to be my shims. I'll put those, and then I'm going to pre-drill again because I'm putting into the molding on the side of the door, and then I'll start putting the screws in. We don't want to over tighten at all. Just get those in, the top and the bottom. Once I do that, look at this. It folds away, but it also folds to keep the animals out when I don't need to be disturbed, like on a phone call or I'm really meeting a deadline. It works great. I'm getting it tested right now. They're a little confused, but don't worry. Even though I'm keeping them out, they do get all the love in the world that they need. It's only temporary. So it's great. It folds away and it also looks great across the door. It's nice and stylish. I hope this inspired you to make your own baby gate or pet gate.
To get the table ready, I'm going to start by giving it a quick clean. Next, I want to give it a light sanding. I want to wipe it again. I like to start with the pedestal first and then do the top. I'm going to add and combine some water with some white paint. To apply the wash, I'm going to use this chip brush because the bristles are natural and uneven. To soften up those lines a little bit, I can wipe them with just a damp paper towel. I absolutely love how pretty this table is now and how much the lighter color changes its look. Grab your hot glue gun. I'm going to start at one end of the mold and fill it slowly with the glue. The first mold is dry now, so I'm going to go ahead and peel it out. I can trim off any little strings and overflow. I'm going to give it 2 coats of a creamy white paint. Some all-purpose glue on the back of each one will be enough to adhere it to the furniture piece. I'm going to paint them using the same paint that I used on the stand. So I'm going to put a layer of clear, soft wax all over everything. I'm going to use some dark wax and a small brush to push it into all of those little details. And do a little sanding around the edges just to add some faux age. It was so easy to add such pretty details with some hot glue and a couple of molds.
Drawn a line straight down the middle of the drawers, and I'm going to use a red and a blue paint. When the first colour has dried, I then take the other colour and paint on top of it. Then take your spray bottle and spritz over the wet paint, and then set a timer for 3 minutes. When the time is up, we have to start removing the water now. And I use a toilet roll. Now I'm moving on to the top of the dresser, and I've split the top in half. Now all my drawers are done and dry, and I'm taking a stencil and some modelling paste and applying it to the stencil. I finished off the dresser by doing the stencil again on the top, and here it is. I hope you enjoyed this and you're inspired to have a go at this crazy technique. I'm giving this little side table a makeover. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually give it a coat of black paint. Now I've taken some creamy white paint and I've added water to it. I've ripped up some newspaper and I'm going to apply some of this paint. Taking pieces of the scrunched up paper, I press it into the paint and wiggle it around. Keep repeating the process until you get to the end. Now the tabletop is dry, I'm going to use this stencil. I'm going to give it 2 coats of this gloss decorator's varnish. Here's my finished tabletop. I think it looks quite effective. It's a very easy technique to do.